I was actually curious to ask you, because since you mentioned it there in passing, like the formation of kinks, is that something that you could take like 30 seconds and sort of like elaborate on a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot of different theories. There are some people who say I was born with it. There are some people who say I had a very specific experience when I was young that gave it to me. I don't think that there's any proof or disproof necessarily of either of those theories. There are also scientists who've attempted to cure people of fetishes, which like doesn't really go so well usually, probably for the same reason that like conversion therapy doesn't really work. And then there's also scientists who have tried to give people fetishes. There was a study where the scientists showed some men pictures of rubber boots that were paired with like sexy photos of naked ladies. And the men did develop basically like a rubber boots fetish through like a Pavlovian mechanism, but it was not as like intense or long lasting as a natural born fetish. There are also people who think that you can even like have experiences as an adult that might cause you to develop a fetish, which like I think that has happened to me. I think that that's a real thing. But yeah, it's like all over the map in terms of where people think that they come from and whether they think that they're more like from your neurology, like your wiring versus like things that you experience or feel or think. I think that it's just always interesting to ask kinky people where they think their kinks came from. You like never get the same answer twice, and it's always interesting.
Yeah, the thing that sort of struck me, I don't know if this would necessarily count as a fetish, but I'll share a little story of my own experience. So a number of years ago, I ended up having a one-night stand experience with somebody, and they had come to me and they had biked, and so they were kind of sweaty, and like we didn't do like there wasn't like showering or anything beforehand. And I remember that I noticed the body odor smell, but I was like, I didn't want to make a fuss about it because it's like, this person came to me, I can't complain. And I found that after that experience that I had developed like a bit of an association of like, I didn't find body odor as like repulsive anymore. It actually kind of reminded me of that. And it was like a little bit more of a positive memory. And so when you mention like, I know that's not really a kink necessarily, but
it could be. I mean, it's one of the kinks in my book is sweat fetish. A lot of people are into it. Yeah.
Interesting. Because it was a totally random thing that I experienced, and still like the effect has like kind of faded over time, but it's still there a little bit now. And it's just like fascinating to me. And I know that there's like, you can kind of do like exposure therapy in a sense with some things if you're kind of like, if you're repulsed by something, but there's like no real like good justifiable reason to be repulsed by it. Like, I guess I'm thinking of things like, fat phobia or stuff like that. Cause that's another thing that I kind of struggled with for a long time. And, but it's just, it's interesting to me to think about the ways that we can kind of reprogram our brains, or some of the ways that we just discover the ways that it's already wired.
Yeah. Brains are really cool.